Hi everybody, this is Saad. As some of you know, I am an avid book collector. I have hundreds and hundreds of books in my personal library, many of which I've yet to read, which causes me great angst. So what do I do when I have hundreds of books that I've yet to read? Well, buy more books to read. There's actually a Japanese term that I recently became aware of. Let me just read it here for you. Tsundoku. This is from the Wikipedia entry. Tsundoku is the phenomenon of acquiring reading materials but letting them pile up in one's home without reading them. The term is also used to refer to books ready for reading later when they are on a bookshelf. The term originated in the Meiji era as Japanese slang. It combines elements of the terms Tsundun-oku, to pile things up ready for later and leave, and dokusho, reading books. There are suggestions to use the word in the English language and include it in the dictionaries like the Collins Dictionary. The American author and bibliophile Edward Newton commented on a similar state in 1921. In his 2007 book, The Black Swan, Nassim Taleb, who's a friend of mine, coined the term anti-library, which has been compared with Tsundoku. So there you have it. I'm certainly one who has been collecting books for many years. There's nothing more that I love than to go to a used bookstore and find those rare jewels. So today the weather was not very sunny, at least in the morning, in Southern California, and so my family and I went to a bookstore that has used books for sale at unbelievable prices. There's nothing more magical than to find incredible books at giveaway prices. So I'm going to go through the 6 that I got here and maybe mention 1 or 2 things about each. All right, here we go. So you ready? So here's the first one. The Elements of Choice: Why the Way We Decide Matters by Eric J. Johnson. I know Eric's work well. Number one, he's worked with my former doctoral supervisor, the cognitive psychologist, Jay Russo. Eric is one of the leading decision theorists, certainly very influential in my own training. His PhD was in 1980, so he's about 14 years my senior. So he's a very prolific professor. Great author in terms of academic work. One of his earlier books, The Adaptive Decision Maker, co-authored with Bettman and Payne. So it's Bettman, Payne, and Johnson. I can't remember the order of the authors. Is an amazing book that talks about how decision makers will apply different decision rules in a way whereby they weigh the cost of applying a decision rule versus the accuracy of that decision rule. It's a book that I have used in my behavioral decision theory courses or psychology of decision making courses at typically the MSc and PhD level. So first book that I got, and by the way, this book, which just came out in 2021, I got it $2. $2. All right, number 1. Now this one I'm almost certain I have at home, but I'm currently not in Montreal, so I couldn't remember if I had it, but it was $1. Look at this beauty. Steven Pinker, Enlightenment Now, The Case for Reason, Science, Humanism, and Progress. $1. So I just got Eric J. Johnson, unbelievable book on decision making. I mean, a lot of the stuff is right out of my academic work, so I'm not sure how much bang for the buck I'm going to get, but it's still worth having that book. And then this book, which I'm almost certain I now have a duplicate of, but at $1 it was a no-brainer, other than the fact that I've got to carry these books back to Montreal, and my wife warned me that we don't have much room in our luggage, although God willing, hopefully we shall never leave Southern California. Who knows? So that's number 2. Oh, look at this beauty. You ready? Here, this book, I think it's also $1. $1. The Middle East, A Brief History of the Last 2,000 Years by Bernard Lewis, who is the preeminent historian, real hardcore academic historian. Of course, I'm very familiar with this book, but I'd never read it cover to cover. And so looking forward to delving into this beauty. So far, one book for $2, two other books for $1. All right, now this one, I reference it, if memory serves me right, in The Parasitic Mind, when I talk about self-flagellation and the West's sense of shame and guilt and self-loathing and self-flagellation. So this book by a French intellectual, The Tyranny of Guilt, an essay on Western masochism. So very relevant to my work in The Parasitic Mind. Unbelievable. Now this book was the most expensive one at $5. Now I'd already had access to this book in I can't remember if I had borrowed it from my university library or I had access electronically to it, but now I have my own personal copy. The Tyranny of Guilt, $5. Oh my goodness, you ready? You ready for this? $1. The Spirit of Inquiry. Look at who is here. Look at this beautiful guy. Charles Darwin, The Spirit of Inquiry, How One Extraordinary Society Shaped Modern Science. I've been actually meaning to buy this book. So let me just read you the back, what it says. This is from Oxford University Press. Darwin's letters from the Beagle were first read out publicly at its meetings. Audiences came to hear the rising stars of science. John Herschel on light moving through crystals. Charles Babbage on calculus. James Clerk Maxwell first addressed it at the age of 22. Alice Johnson had to speak on the similarities between chicks and dinosaurs as a guest in 1883, for it was long before women could be admitted. The Cambridge Philosophical Society, founded in 1819, boasts an extraordinary history. Its membership included many of the greatest scientists of the 19th and early 20th century. Its story represents in microcosm the rapid changes in science and society of the past 200 years in Britain and beyond. $1. $1. Recent book. $1. And then finally, The Intelligence Trap, Why Smart People Make Dumb Decisions. I wasn't aware of this book, but boy, does it resonate with me, because of course, when I talk about the parasitic mind, I explain that all of these parasitic ideas originate from university professors. And so otherwise educated, supposedly intelligent people can come up with truly some of the wackiest ideas like postmodernism and cultural relativism and identity politics and so on and so forth, biophobia, social constructivism. So those are the 6 books. That's another, I think it was also $1. So 6 unbelievable books. Like, look at this. If I only, this will probably, I don't know, this will take me many months to read these. Look at these 6 books. Look at these beauties. 6 books for $12. If I go for a latte with my wife, it'll cost us that much money. Imagine the amount of new knowledge I will possess when I get around to reading these books, along with the 7,000 other books that I have to read. Remember, there's nothing more beautiful than intellectual enrichment. Read, read, read. It's a path to self-growth. It's a path to knowledge. It's a way to keep your mind sharp. It truly is the maxim that knowledge is power. My kids were telling me, I was explaining something to them, and they each looked at me in their own way and said, how do you come up with all this stuff? How do you know all this? Well, because I read all the time. I was just sitting at the pool reading a book, Lady in Gold, the book about the portrait of Adele Bloch-Bauer by Klimt, and how there was a big fight after it was stolen by the Nazis to get it repatriated and so on. So read, read, read. Even when I'm sitting here in beautiful Southern California, I'm obsessed with collecting books. Hope you're having a great day. Talk to you soon. Cheers.